What's going on, guys? I'm Steve. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't regret it. If you're a returning subscriber, as always, guys, welcome back, and I do appreciate the support, guys. Listen, I want to talk a little bit about they calling it a crisis, the migrant crisis. I just call it a big giant fiasco. I want to talk specifically about a story I seen out of Chicago. Shout out Chicago, Illinois, and it was talking about the shelter situation. And it was saying that it's approximately, more than 13,000 migrants living in 27 shelters around the city. Now, I want to get into this a little bit deeper, and I want to give my opinion that I think, besides somebody profiting from this, guys, I think the city was prepared in a sense to take a few thousand, but not this huge influx. And I think this is one of the problems that's going on nationwide in these sanctuary cities. Let me show you this video and we'll come back and talk a little bit about it.
Tonight, thousands of migrants spending what could be their final weeks in shelters across Chicago as the city's eviction deadline looms. Like Lisbeth Velasquez, a Venezuelan migrant who says she fled due to political persecution 6 months ago and is now nearing the end of her 60-day limit in the city's shelters.
Dice que tengo fecha de salida para el 1 de abril. ¿Qué va a pasar si yo de aquí al 1 de abril yo no consigo una vivienda? Estoy trabajando, no tengo recursos económicos para pagar una vivienda.
Velasquez says she's navigating the asylum process, but that she won't be able to obtain a work permit until well after her eviction date, a crucial step in finding a place to live.
Te piden el contrato de trabajo, te piden el estado de cuenta, te piden unos requisitos que, actualmente yo no cuento con ninguno.
The limit put in place to provide temporary housing while migrants find work in homes before making room for newcomers.
Only one property manager that has maybe 1 or 2 landlords that wants to deal with this. You know, they want them to have work permits, a job, and proof of income.
Would you say the trouble getting work permits has been the largest hurdle for people looking for more permanent housing?
Without work permits and jobs, it's really impossible for people to find places to stay. In our group, we have like doctors, lawyers, teachers. They are really talented people, but they have no way to be certified here.
Advocates like Pastor Phelps are helping where they can, organizing English classes and clothing drives, but say it's unlikely everyone will be able to successfully transition out of shelters, instead needing to reapply for access to another shelter. More than 13,000 migrants are currently living in 27 shelters run by the city and the state, according to a census of new arrivals. Most of them have arrived since June 2023, part of the busing campaign by Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott, who says he sent more than 100,000 migrants to sanctuary cities. It's costing Texas taxpayers $124 million, according to a public information request by our affiliate KXAN to the state's Division of Emergency Management tasked with the initiative. Chicago's mayor has extended the limit on shelter stays, delaying enforcement due to cold weather, sending notices like this to migrants in shelters, warning the earliest notices to leave will come in mid-March. The disruption in housing will cause further disruption with migrants' legal journey applying for asylum.
What's at stake if these migrants end up homeless again?
First of all, just sending people back into crisis. If someone doesn't have an address where they can receive their court notices, they risk failing to comply with the requirements placed upon them by the government.
Another element adding to their stress.
Es preocupante porque se van a inundar los distritos policiales, las calles. Creo que no es la solución.
All right, Maura joins us now live from Chicago. So, Maura, if this holds up, in the work permits, how long does that take and how many migrants have been able to obtain them?
Well, Tom, reports show that just about 1,000 migrants have been able to get those work permits, and state officials actually estimate that only 30% of those shelter residents will even qualify for the authorization or temporary protected status, which opens up the availability for work eligibility. Now, this is a problem in terms of just the access, but also the timeline used to take months. Now they've reduced that to about 30 days, which is helpful. But at the end of the day, the reality is this leaves open 10,000 migrants with questions over how they're going to get jobs or secure permanent housing.
All right, guys. That's the story that's out right now. Now, supposedly 2,000 migrants so far or more supposedly have found places and, got residency and places to live. But this is a huge problem. And not just in Chicago, in other places. Now, it says that there are 13,000 migrants, like we talked about, and a lot of them are facing eviction because they was given 60 days to find a place to stay. That's very hard to do going from one nation to another. And I don't know what these people was told, but I mean, for them to make a trek of hundreds of miles, some of these folks to get over here only to be thrown out in the street, that shows a failure somewhere in the line, down the line. I don't know if it's on the city's end or what, but this is what I honestly think. I think that the government allowed these folks to come into the country. Say you're a sanctuary city, boom, they start sending them. Once they send them, it's a huge influx. I think these cities had protocol in place to take a few at a time or slowly integrate a certain amount and then have it to where, that you could bring the next person. But if you paid attention to news, cities is getting bombarded. And I'm like, somebody's either they was unprepared or like somebody's just like, figure it out. Just throwing a bunch of people there. But I'm going to tell you something. A lot of these places that are crime ridden, you know what I'm saying? New York, Chicago, and stuff like that. A lot of these migrants that are coming over here, the frustrations that they're going to go through is going to drive a lot of them to the streets. If you already trying to push them out there, think about it. Shelter's the only place these people got. Some of them don't have work permits yet. And did you see the requirements? See, it's a lot of red tape when people are trying to get on their feet and nobody wants to be lenient at all. Says some landlords is like, okay, you got to have work papers, a job, an active job, employment, and you got to have proof of income. That's very hard to do with a lot of people, especially these people that speak Spanish, as their only language. Because I know a lot of companies don't want to hire nobody if they don't have people that are bilingual that work there. And there are companies out there and it's hard to teach and train somebody when you can't understand them. That's one thing. Another thing, like what I was saying with these apartment homes, these landlords are like, okay, you got to have a work permit. That's the big hang up right now with a lot of these people with the immigration. And that goes back to stuff over here with us. You know what I mean? To get a social security card, you might have to wait like 30 days, 45 days. What if you need it now for a job? Can't get it. A lot of these people, most of these people facing that. You got people just sitting over here every day, just sitting over here, standing in parking lots, just waiting for their turn to get these work permits and all this stuff. This whole thing is a big mess. It is. And it's like, for them to say, for somebody to snap their fingers and say, all right, let's let them in. It's like all the heads are not aligned in the same direction with the plan of what's happening. So that makes me think what? Either people have not been told what the plan and protocol was going to be, or it's a bunch of confusion with what was said. And now the rules keep changing depending on the situation. This whole thing is, proof of income. You have no work papers. Can't get a job. Can't get a job. Can't prove your work. This whole thing is a big ass clusterfuck. It is. It is. And this is going to get worse. You see them people walking up and down the street from shelter to shelter. That gets frustrating after a while, especially when you have babies. You know what I mean? They need milk, need Pampers. The men that came with these women, they don't feel good. You know what I'm saying? It's a pride thing. Some of these people coming over here, man, and this is the thing I want you guys to understand. I knew this before I even saw this. I don't know if a lot of you know, a lot of times you can't come to America if you have no value. And that's the thing. Everything in America is about value. You get a job because they feel as though you have value and can help that business grow. A lot of these people come over here with skills that don't translate to the United States, meaning they could have doctorate degrees in Colombia, Venezuela, Chile, El Salvador, whatever, but the criteria don't match up with here, meaning 4 years in American university and stuff like that. A lot of them could be good surgeons, but they are not allowed to practice unless they go through the loopholes of going through college and all this other stuff and getting an accredited degree in America. So now they got to change professions. So basically, it's like, yo, you need to just be happy you here and figure it out. Think about that. I had a couple of clients that came straight from China, and they was telling me, yeah, I was a doctor over there. I was this and that. And, you know, America won't let you, because they were telling me how you got to fill the paperwork and stuff. They said they will not let you here if like you have something unless you have some type of work. He said you got to have some type of work to even come to America. They don't just take anybody. And that's the thing. A lot of people are saying, hey, they're bringing people from prisons and stuff like that. Probably are. Probably are. You know, and somebody's profiting off of this. Let's just be real. Who is profiting off of this besides the vendors? The vendors are profiting off of this. And I mean, this is only going to run for a short time, and then, you know, they'll change them out and go to somebody else. But I mean, these are human lives, and people are just, all right, go over here, go over there. And then it's like, say you got a truck from here all the way across town to another shelter. Guess what? Other people in other shelters are going there too. You might walk all the way over there for nothing. They're giving these people 60 days to get a job and all this stuff, and they got to wait to get the work permit while the 60 days of their existence in warmth and getting this benefit is running out. This is going to it's going to cause a lot of crime and a lot of dissatisfaction. There's going to be a lot of egg on a lot of people's face, and a lot of people are going to get the blame that don't deserve it because there's too much confusion in the higher ups that's falling down on the smaller people that are directly connected with serving these migrants. You watch, that's just the way it is. Somebody's profiting off of it. And the paper trail going to be all over the place where it's a bunch of confusion to where everybody that's trying to figure this out, including taxpayers, on the hook for $24 million. I'm going to say, you know what? Too confusing. I'm Stock Market Steve for the Dynamic Reason channel. As always, like, comment, share, and subscribe. I don't know what the plan was from the first place of having, you know, these folks come over here, and it's like their fate ain't no different than it was, you know, that. It's just more stress now. See you in the next video. Take care.